Hi, Sarah here from FLX, and today we're going to be assembling the Babymaker. The first thing you're going to want to do before you open up the bike is check the side of the box here. This will tell you what the configuration of the bike is. So this is the Babymaker Pro with a 19-inch frame, upper handlebars, and the color sterling. You can also check the SKU here and it will tell you what's in the box. Okay, once you've checked the configuration on the side, we're going to go ahead and open up the box. If for any reason the bike inside is not what you ordered, just stop there. Once the bike is assembled, you can't return it. So just contact customer support if it's not the bike that you ordered. After we've checked to make sure that this is the bike that you ordered, we're gonna start unpackaging it. So first thing that I'm gonna grab is this box here, which includes the tools that you need for assembly along with your charger and the seat post. I'm gonna put those off to the side. And now that we've removed those items, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the bike itself. It helps if you have a second pair of hands. Thankfully, I brought Ben here with me, so he's gonna give me a hand.
What's going on, guys?
And, oh, there we go.
All right.
Okay, now that the bike is out of the package, we're gonna put it off to the side. Be sure to not throw away any of the protective packaging or the box until the bike is fully assembled. So you're gonna take a pair of snippers, scissors, whatever you have around the house, and start carefully removing the zip ties. Be sure to not accidentally puncture the tire or anything like that. And as you're working down the frame, please be sure to not accidentally snip your brake lines down here. You can go ahead and remove these plastic pieces on the wheel and just set them aside. You don't need them. The reason it's so important to keep all of your packaging and put it to the side is the LCD comes in a small package like this, and it can be easy to miss.
Since filming this video, the packaging of your LCD may have changed. Check your handlebars, as we have begun mounting the LCD to the handlebars already. So if it's not there, then go ahead and check for it in the excess packaging.
We're gonna go ahead and open up the accessory box so we have all the tools that we need for assembly. The first thing that we're gonna do is install the front wheel. Before we do so, you're gonna have to remove the caliper spacer down here. Now that you've removed the spacer, be sure to not touch or squeeze the brakes over here. Okay, the next step is to install your front wheel. To do so, you will need the axle. Your bike will either come with a quick release skewer or a through axle. I will show you how to install it now. When installing your front wheel, I've found that it's easiest to step over your bike like this, making sure that your front brake rotor is in line with your caliper in the front, and we're gonna go ahead and just lift this up. With the rotor in line, go ahead and set the front tire on. Now that your front wheel is on, we're gonna go ahead and put down the kickstand for better stability.
Now I'm going to go over the procedures for the through axle. Like Sarah mentioned, the process is very similar, but there are a few differences. I've already gone ahead and put the wheel into the fork. Like Sarah mentioned, if you stand over, it's a really easy way to get that bike tire in. But let me go ahead and show you how to actually begin installing this through axle. One thing to check before you begin is make sure that your front wheel has both of those spacers, that you don't have anything hanging on to these plastic coverings when you go to do this install. As you can see, the front fork has no threading on the left side. That is the spot we're gonna stick the axle in first. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and line it up. Now at this portion, you may need to jiggle the bike, the wheel, kind of everything around to get it to slide in. Now what you may find at this point is that this clamp will rotate, but the axle will not actually spin and get tighter. And the reason behind that is this clamp actually needs to be in this notch to both tighten down and loosen up. So once you get it fixed in, like that, you can go ahead and start tightening the axle down. One thing to note is that you always want your clamp facing towards the rear of the bike when it's locked down So what you may find is that you need to adjust it, quarter turns until you find that exact tension to where you're securing the clamp fully but not over tightening. As you can see, I'm doing these little tiny quarter turns until I find that perfect tension where the clamp leaves a little thing in your palm, but you're not forcing it tight. That is how you go ahead and install through axle. Same thing goes for removing it. Open it up, make sure the clamp is in that little notch, and then you can go ahead and unscrew it. But those are the procedures to tightening down your through axle.
If you have the quick release skewer, you're gonna wanna go ahead and remove this end piece along with this first spring. Be sure to not remove both of them. Okay, with the ends removed, we're gonna go ahead and slide your quick release skewer into place. With the skinny side of the spring facing towards the bike, we're gonna go ahead and slide this on, as well as the end cap. As you're tightening the end cap, test the clamp resistance as you go. If you can close it with one finger, it's not tight enough. However, if you have to force it closed, it's too tight. It's very important that your axle is secure. However, if you over tighten it, it could break it. If you're unsure, it's a really good idea to take it to a professional to make sure everything was installed properly. If you have a through axle, the procedure is the same. Be sure to not over or under tighten it. Now we're going to assemble the handlebars. Using the Allen key that came in your accessory box, unscrew the stem plate. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and install the handlebars. One thing I like to do here is hand tighten the screws just to keep it into place while we get everything secure. Before we fully tighten the cap here, we're gonna make sure your handlebars are centered and adjusted to your preference. I like to tighten in a star pattern just to make sure it's secured evenly. Now we're gonna insert the seat inside the seat post. So I'm gonna go ahead and just remove this packaging. Set that off to the side. Go ahead and insert your seat to the desired height. I'm pretty short, so we're gonna go almost all the way down. Same rule here, you don't wanna over tighten it, but you definitely don't wanna under tighten it. So this is just about perfect there. It's important to make sure that your seat is straight and angled correctly. I like mine parallel to the ground. If you need to make any adjustments, you can do so in the back here with an Allen key. Now that the seat is installed, I like to mount my bike just to check and make sure that the handlebars are placed correctly. It's easier to do this now before we install the brakes. Now we're gonna install the brake levers. To tell which side goes on which, we're gonna trace the brake lines. Since we're in the US, the back is gonna be on the right and the front is gonna be on the left. Using the torque screw that came in your accessory packet, we're gonna go ahead and remove these two screws here. Now we're gonna mount the brake lever to your handlebars here. I like to hand tighten the screws and then we'll use the actual tool to tighten it securely. Before fully tightening the bracket, we wanna make sure your brake is in the correct position and angle for your riding preference. I like it at about 45 degrees. Just like everything else, guys, we wanna make sure we don't over tighten. If you look here, there's a small gap. That's completely normal. My brakes are secure and they're not moving. Same exact procedure applies for your other brake. I'm gonna go ahead and install it now. Next up, we're gonna install the pedals. These can't be swapped and they have to go on the correct side. To check which is which, you can look at the end and there's gonna be an R and an L. I'm gonna start with the right pedal. The right side is really simple. You're just gonna do righty-tighty like you would with any screw. Once you can no longer tighten the pedal with your hand, you're gonna need to use the wrench that came in your accessory box to complete the tightening process. Let's move on to the left pedal. So the left pedal is cross-threaded, which means you're gonna do lefty-tighty instead of righty-tighty, and you're gonna go counterclockwise. Now we're gonna install the display. First thing you're gonna wanna do is plug it in. It does take a little bit of oomph if you wanna make sure it's fully seated. If you can still see green, it's not plugged in all the way. I'm gonna call in for backup because I can't get it.
Hey guys, like Sarah mentioned, we want to make sure that this plug goes all the way in and that the green disappears. If you have nice pretty nails like Sarah, you may need a friend like me to come in and help.
Now that your display is plugged in, you're gonna thread it through here. You can put it on the right or the left side. I prefer mine on the left. Now that we've gotten our display where we want it, we're gonna go ahead and tighten it. Now it's super, super important not to over tighten your display. About every quarter of a turn, we're gonna test to see if it still moves. See? And now that it no longer moves, it's securely tightened and you don't wanna adjust it anymore. Now that all your components are installed, the last step is to charge your Babymaker. It's really important to make sure your bike is fully charged before you go on your first ride. Now that your Babymaker is charging, you can go ahead and clean up your workstation now that we know that all the components are on the bike. Just remember, if at any point you feel uncomfortable or unsure of what you're doing, we do always suggest professional assembly. Well, that's it guys. If you have any questions, email us at support@flx.bike.